tonight on Size Eyes on the Skies.
Good evening, everybody. As we look out across the Memorial Union tonight, it's a beautiful night, cold, and we've got some changes on the way. I'll have more on that coming up.
Plus, AJ has a look at the national forecast. Size Eyes on the Skies for Tuesday, February 1st starts now.
Broadcasting live from the studios at Hamilton Hall at Iowa State University, the Iowa State Meteorology Department brings you the latest weather from across the country and out your front door. This is Size Eyes on the Skies.
We begin with tonight's weather story. On this day in 2011, near blizzard conditions occurred across portions of northeast Iowa and southwest Wisconsin. Up to a foot of snow fell across some locations in addition to what fell less than 24 hours prior. Winds gusted as high as 49 miles per hour at Plateville, Wisconsin. Whiteouts are common in Iowa. St. Olaf received 12 inches of snow. Gutenberg received 8.5 inches. Edgewood got 8. Elkader got 7.5. And Owine got 7. In Wisconsin, Cincinnati received 14 inches. Cuba City received 12 inches. Plateville got 11.6. Cassville got 10, Prairie du Chien got 7.2, and Mount Sterling received 6 inches of snow. To discuss more on what's happening around the country, here is AJ with our national forecast.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Size Eyes meteorologist AJ Rickman. We have a lot to get to tonight for our national forecast. We have a major winter storm that's hitting the middle of the country. It's going to have an Arctic blast coming behind it, and then we'll have a cold, quiet end to the week. I'll have more on that coming up.
Hello, I'm your host, Nick Francis, and I'm joined by AJ Rickman off camera. You will see him later on. And we're here to talk to you guys tonight about blizzards. The National Weather Service defines a blizzard to have a sustained wind of 35 miles per hour at least. There has to be a visibility of a quarter mile or less, and there has to have a duration of 3 or more hours. And believe it or not, snow does not have to be falling for it to be classified as a blizzard. You could have blowing snow that fell the night before, and it could still get a blizzard warning.
More on that. Ames actually got hit by a blizzard last year. I unfortunately was not able to go out and experience it, but it was a very, very powerful front that came through, and it kicked up a bunch of snow and just blew it everywhere. We really only got an inch or two of accumulation, but because the winds were so strong, again, it kind of falls into that snow does not have to be falling category. We had blowing snow for more than 3 hours, and therefore we were put under a blizzard warning.
I actually don't remember that happening. I don't know where I was at, but a few years back when I was a young child, I actually got to experience thunder snow. And thunder snow is caused by an updraft within the storm, which gets those particles to hit together and create a static shock, and then that releases to be thunder snow. And that it's uncommon in snowstorms as compared to thunderstorms because the updraft within a thunderstorm is much stronger and there's much more moisture and energy to help and cause the knocking of particles that create that charge. So it's very rare to see thunder snow and is a very cool experience when you get to see it.
Right, and unfortunately I've never been able to see it. I don't have much opportunity aside from being up here to experience it, but it is something on my bucket list.
He's from Georgia.
I am. I don't get it a whole lot. But that's it for this segment of, weather.
Weather explained.
Weather explained.
Now here's AJ with a look at what's happening around the nation.
Good evening, everybody. So as we start out with a look at what's happening around the nation, you can look across the middle of the... Good evening, everybody. So as we start out with a look at what's happening around the nation, you can look across the middle of the country here, see that cold front that's starting what's going to be a major winter storm that's going to hit everywhere from Texas all the way up into the northeast. You can see it starting now as moisture's coming up out of the Gulf and riding over the top of that cold air that is behind that cold front. And that's what's spreading all that moisture up across the middle of the country, up from southern Iowa and all the way across to the Great Lakes region. And as we take a look at temperatures that are going on right now, again, you can see exactly where that cold front stretches from northern Texas all the way up across the middle of the country, all the way up into the Great Lakes region. And as we go for the next couple days, we're going to watch that cold air sag south and just move its way across the country. And taking a look at things regionally right now, starting back here at the Size Eyes studio in the Midwest, 25 in Des Moines, and then as you get further up into the northern tier, you can see where that polar air mass is gathering, starting to spill its way down across the Midwest, and as it's going to push on into across the middle of the country. And then as we move over into the northeast, you can see it's really not too terrible for this time of year in this area. As you get up into Maine, it does get pretty cold. You're in the 20s in Augusta, 5 up in Caribou is going to be your cold spot. But as you look across the rest of the region, 30s into the 40s, not too bad. And then as we move south into the southeast, really, again, feels pretty good for this time of year. 50s and 60s across the board. As you get up into the Carolinas, you've got some cold air damming that's going on behind the Appalachians that's keeping you in the 40s there, a little bit cooler. But outside of that, really not too terrible. And then as we look across into the southwest region of the U.S., a little bit colder across the board, 20s, 30s, up into the Rockies, it's going to be a lot colder at those cold mountain peaks. And then as you get down closer to the border, Phoenix 67, El Paso 61, Roswell 57, so really not too bad. And then again, as we stretch up into the northwest, it's going to be cold up here at this time of year. You're in the Rockies, you know, teens, 20s, higher. The higher you get up in elevation, the colder it's going to get. But then again, as you look across northern Montana into the Dakotas and over here into Minnesota even, you can see again where that cold air is pooling up in Canada and where it's going to be spilling across the U.S. over the next couple of days. And as we take a look at the watches and warnings that are going on right now, you can see exactly where that winter storm is going to be occurring, again, from Texas all the way up across the middle of the country, up into the Great Lakes, and even into the Northeast. These pinks, these are your winter storm watches where the worst of it's going to hit. Outside of that, down here, the blues, that's your winter storm warnings. So everybody in these areas, keep an eye out. It could get upgraded to a warning. You could end up with a winter weather advisory, which is going to be these purples in here. And then as you get up further north where the really, really cold air is going to be, these light blues in here are your wind chill watches and warnings. There we are. And as we take a look at the futurecast over the next several hours and into the next several days, again, you can see where the cold front stretches right here, just to the south of this rain snow line is where that cold front is going to be. So that's going to be your marker to watch for. And you can see where all that moisture is going to get pulled up out of the Gulf and pushed up over the top of that cold air mass. Right there in that transition between the rain and the snow, you're going to want to watch for some really significant ice accumulations in there. And then north of that, you're going to have snow, and it's going to be heavy. Texas, Oklahoma, you guys are going to have some snow. The heaviest spots are probably going to be in the Illinois, Indiana, into the Missouri area. And then south of that, you're not going to have to worry as much about some of the winter weather and bad impacts that come with that. You're going to be looking at mostly a rain event. And then again, as we look through the rest of the day into the night tomorrow, snow continues. You get a lot of rain down in southern Texas. And then again, north of there, you're going to have snow. And right there in the mix, or right in between there, we're looking at a pretty big ice event. So that's something, if you're in this area, be careful driving. Stay off the roads if you can. If you do have to go out, please, please drive carefully. And then as we go through the rest of the day, Thursday, things are going to start to clear out in Texas and Oklahoma as the system eases on off to the east. And then it's going to continue to impact across the middle of the country here into Illinois, Indiana, and then on up into the Northeast. And as we go into the day on Friday, we'll see it start to push off. The Northeast, you guys are going to want to watch there. You're going to get some snow out of this, so be ready for that. Down across the Southeast, I know you guys have had some close calls with winter weather over the last couple of weeks. This one, for the most part, looks like it's going to be all rain, so no need to worry there. And then it'll end up pushing off into the ocean, and it'll be out of our hair towards the end of the week. And then as we take a look at the snowfall totals, again, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, you guys are going to get the worst of the snow. But again, pay attention. Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, you guys are going to get some too. Just because it's not these dark, scary-looking colors doesn't mean it can't cause bad impacts, so something to keep an eye on. And as we take a look at the ice, there's going to be a pretty significant ice storm south of where the majority of that snow is, and it's going to impact some pretty areas far to the south that aren't necessarily used to dealing with this kind of stuff. So again, Texas, southern Oklahoma, across Arkansas, and then up across this way. If you're in this area, be on the lookout. Again, stay off the roads. When the weather gets bad, go ahead and get all your grocery shopping done now, and be ready to hunker down when the storm hits. And as you take a look at the week ahead in our city of choice, Kansas City, Missouri, one of the areas that's going to be impacted by this storm, it's going to be cold and it's going to be snowy tomorrow. And then as you get through the rest of the week, it's going to stay cold. So any snow that falls, sticks to the roads, grasses, whatnot, it's not going to melt much. So you're going to, again, be really careful when you're out on the roads, especially at night if there's a little bit of melt that occurs, even as we get towards the end of the week. Highs might be above freezing, but lows are going to be below freezing. So black ice is going to be something to watch for, and you guys need to really be careful about that.
Thank you, AJ, for that forecast. Now let's take a look at tonight's trivia question. What is not considered blizzard criteria? A, snowfall rates greater than 2 inches per hour. B, visibility less than a quarter mile. C, winds at least 35 miles per hour. Or D, a duration of 3+ hours. We will have your answer coming right up. Now let's have a look at the week ahead with AJ again.
Hello again, everybody. As we take a look at what's going on in Iowa for this week, not quite as exciting and crazy what's going on across the rest of the nation, but still, it was pleasant today, and we're going to have a temperature roller coaster coming up this week, so you guys are going to want to be ready for that. And as we get towards this weekend, we're going to be looking at the possibility of a warm-up. I'll have more on that coming up. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. As we take a look out across the Memorial Union tonight, really not too terrible for this time of year. Partly cloudy, 20 degrees. We do have a pretty brisk north-northwest wind, 17 miles an hour, so that's going to make it feel a lot colder than it is, and it's going to continue to get colder as we go through the night tonight. As we take a look at temperatures right now across the state, not too terrible as you get down into the southern part of the state. In your 20s, upper 20s as you get down towards Creston, and 30 over here in Burlington. There's your warm spot. As we get up into the northern part, though, 12 in Mason City, 14 in Decorah, that's the start of that polar air mass that's going to push across the state over the next day or so. And as we take a look at wind speed right now, again, you can see those northerly winds that are going to usher in that cold air. And it's a little gusty in some places across the state here. So something to keep an eye on if you're going out tonight. Bundle up, be dressed for that wind chill, because with this wind, it's going to feel a lot colder than it actually is. And speaking of which, feels like temperatures right now, we're already below zero in places like Decorah, Mason City. As you get further down across the southern part of the state, again, it was in the actual temperatures or in the upper 20s, lower 30s, but with that wind, it makes it feel a lot colder, so be ready for that. As we take a look at satellite and radar right now, you can see some of that snow stretching across the southeast part of the state, and I don't think we're going to get too many impacts from this. Most of the heavy snow is going to stay to our south. Southern areas of the state, you might pick up a dusting. But overall, I think this storm is going to bypass us for the most part. And as we take a look at the skycast for tonight, it's going to be clear, but it's going to be cold. We're going to have a north wind, and it's going to pull in, again, usher in that cold air from the north. And it's going to be close to zero when you wake up tomorrow morning with a 5 to 10 mile an hour wind. But when it's that cold, any wind, you're going to feel it. And as we take a look at the forecast for tomorrow, much, much colder than what it was today. We're looking at a high of 11, and we're going to have a southerly wind, 10 to 20 miles an hour, that's really going to knock those feels-like temperatures down and make it feel a lot colder than it is. And again, taking a look ahead at the mediagram and comparing it to where we should be at this time of year, normally we should be around 30, so it's going to be a lot colder than what we're used to and what our average is for that time of year. When you wake up at 8 a.m., it's going to be a frigid 4 degrees, and we're really not going to climb all that much. We'll get our way up to about 10 or 11 by the middle of the day, and then we're going to fall right back down going into the evening hours after the sun goes down. And then as you take a look at your futurecast wind chill as we go through the day tomorrow and into tomorrow night, it's going to be cold and it's going to stay cold. With the winds, even with what little warming we might have, those winds are going to keep those wind chills down around zero and across the state really below zero. So bundle up tomorrow, be dressed for it. And then again, as we take a look through the rest of the night into Thursday, still winds are going to be up, temperatures are going to be down, and it's going to feel very, very cold. And as we take a look at tonight across the state with our forecast lows, generally, the farther north you get, the colder it's going to be. Below zero as you get across the northern parts of the state, and then we'll be above zero in the southern parts, but still, we're going to be in the single digits, and with that wind, it's going to be cold. And then as we go through the day tomorrow, same deal. It's going to be cold, and with the winds, it's really going to feel cold. So we're looking at a pretty cold day coming up tomorrow. As we take a look at the week ahead, though, If we can, Wednesday, Thursday, they're going to be cold. Wednesday's going to be breezy, so you're going to feel it. But then as we get towards the end of the week, Friday into Saturday, look at there, 40 degrees. We're getting above freezing. A little bit of a dip again on Sunday, dipping down to 22. But as we get into early next week, we're looking at the possibility of a warm-up.
Thank you, AJ, for that forecast. Let's review tonight's trivia question. What is not considered blizzard criteria? And the answer is A, snowfall rates greater than 2 inches per hour. What was your guess, AJ?
Well, I was going to say, I don't know, maybe B. I'm not too terribly experienced with what blizzard conditions are. I'd kind of like to experience one up here, to be honest with you.
You're telling me you're from Georgia and you've never seen a blizzard?
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
I
We've had some close calls,
it.
but never quite made it there.
Never quite. That concludes tonight's show. Please be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. You can find every show on YouTube under our Size Eyes channel. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you later. Have a great night.